Today is the 21st of February 26. I'm here with Paul. Where are you from, Paul?
I'm from Wirral.
Wirral, yeah. Okay. Why are you here, mate?
Yeah, well, I'm here today to talk about data centres. Yeah. I'll start with the data centre in Bridle Road, Netherton. Specifically, that's why I'm here. The size of this data centre is equivalent to 7 football pitches. So it's not the biggest one by any means. And the company behind it are called L51 Developments. What I'll do today is I'll talk about the biggest data centres that we've got. These are called hyperscale data centres. And these are the ones being built by Google, Amazon, Facebook. They are absolutely huge constructions that can run up to 10 million square feet in size. That's as big as 144 football pitches, or around 100 times bigger than the new Everton football stadium. And we've all seen the size of that. Can you imagine the sheer size of these data centres? They're absolutely huge. In 2016, there were 600 hyperscale data centres around the world. By 2025, this number had doubled to 1,200, and the race to build these data centres is not slowing down. The associated demands on our water and electricity networks are going through the roof. We need to speak out and let people know. In the UK, there are over 500 data centres. 200 of these are in the London area. 48 of them are hyperscale in size. Data centres are the brain of the smart city. Over 400 cities around the world are currently converting to smart cities, including many here in the UK, starting with Oxford. Once completed and up and running, smart cities will act as virtual prisons. People will be controlled via digital ID and artificial intelligence. The next question: what's inside data centres? There are banks and banks of computer servers that create a huge demand on our electricity networks and water supplies. This equipment can only operate at very low temperatures and needs to be constantly cooled down through the use of running fresh water supplies. And if you're thinking that these things will create thousands of local jobs, think again. They don't need employees. Once they've been built, even the smaller ones like this, around a dozen people will be employed in either security on site or in visiting and checking that they're functioning okay. And these visiting employees will do their rounds, turning up once a week before disappearing again. For communities living nearby, there will also be continuous 24 hours a day noise from the use of fans, cooling systems and backup generators. This has been described as a low-pitched hum or roar. Fans generate sound levels well above the threshold, which is harmful to people's hearing. L51 Developments have described these sound levels as low in their submissions to Sefton Council. This is dishonest. This proposed data centre in Bridle Road, Netherton will be using 38 diesel-powered generators enclosed on the ground floor as an emergency backup power supply should there be a blackout locally or a loss of power to the site. This will be well above 85 decibels and harmful to human hearing. Diesel generators give off nitrogen oxides, particulate matter, carbon dioxide and killer carbon monoxide. All of these emissions degrade air quality and increase the risk of respiratory and cardiovascular conditions in the local public. Alternatively, data centres can use battery energy storage systems as a backup electricity supply. These contain lithium-ion batteries, but attached to this is a serious fire and explosion risk. You might be thinking, well, I don't live close enough for that to affect me. Well, think again. If you live in the local vicinity and there's a fire, there will be a release of toxic fumes into the atmosphere, including killer carbon monoxide and dangerous hydrogen fluoride, which causes irreversible damage to your lungs. This means you'll have to lock yourself indoors, close all your windows, and remain locked inside, possibly for days. These fumes are impossible to contain, and they will go to wherever the wind blows them. The proposed Netherton data centre has no emergency evacuation plan and poses an unacceptable risk to health and safety, which goes against the Sefton local plan. The council must ensure and publish a comprehensive environmental impact assessment, but there isn't one. It will also emit electromagnetic fields in the form of non-ionising radiation. Next question, why are data centres needed? Basically to store information. This can be your biometric information. And what does biometric mean? The measurement of life. Biometric information, artificial intelligence data, or it could even be pictures of your face that the police have taken without your permission using their facial recognition cameras. So while you're out walking or doing your shopping, more and more police forces have vans out in the street collecting pictures of thousands upon thousands of innocent faces. Nationally, these methods will be trawling the streets and grabbing pictures of millions of us, and none of this activity is regulated. All of this will be up and running and breaching your privacy if and when digital ID is ever given the go-ahead. We, as critically thinking people, need to stand and fight against this. It's actually looking positive right now because around 50% of the UK population have said they're against digital ID. Data centres will be linked together by the 5G and 6G masts, which started being installed during the lockdowns in 2020. Telecoms companies were deliberately given special status to carry on installing while we were locked in our houses and unable to challenge this. That was done deliberately. You must have seen these 5G masts popping up everywhere. We all know these masts are in our towns, cities and rural areas. Lately they've been lining our motorways and A roads. This will be for controlling autonomous cars in the future. Around 75,000 4G and 5G masts and small cell antennas have been installed in the UK in the last 6 years. With all of this now underway, the George Orwell 1984 Big Brother style idea of a panopticon network or an all-seeing eye has been long in the making. Next question, how big are the demands placed on our water supply, electricity grid and on the wider world in general? The big problem we have is that these enormous structures place huge demands onto local electricity networks and freshwater supplies. Electrical supplies are now having to be delivered at an unprecedented scale. Electricity providers have been forced to send out leaflets that come through our letterboxes advising customers that there may be power cuts in the near future. But we don't get to know that the need to provide electrical supplies to power-hungry data centres is the reason for potential power cuts. Data centres will draw very large amounts of power, equivalent to tens of thousands of homes. It's likely that data centres will take precedence over customers' power supplies, and we are likely to be the first ones to be cut off. These computers and servers need to be cooled right down in order to function. They demand millions of gallons per year of water, placing extortionate demands onto our local water supply. If your water starts coming out at low pressure or goes off completely in the near future, then data centres will be the likely culprit. Linked to this is an increased demand for raw materials, copper, aluminium, steel and rare earth metals. All of these raw materials are finite, i.e. supplies are going to run extremely low and they're going to run out one day. There's only so much of it in the ground. So we can't go on building these things forever. The lifespan of a data center is typically only 15 to 20 years due to evolving technology and operational demands. Also, all the raw materials and rare earth metals will need to be sourced and replaced. When a data center uses battery energy storage systems, these lithium-ion batteries only last for 15 years. Lithium is extremely challenging to extract, so African children will be digging it out of the ground all over again, on and on into the future. So it's cruel, probably illegal, completely unsustainable, and it can be summarised in 2 words: absolute madness. I'm an electrical engineer by trade, and data centres are electrical setups, and there's a big problem attached to this, one which is almost never mentioned in press reports or by the industry itself. This is the presence of SF6, or sulfur hexafluoride. This is a synthetic odourless gas used as an electrical insulator in medium and high voltage equipment. It's the most potent greenhouse gas known, with a serious alleged global warming impact. However, SF6 will leak during installation, maintenance or decommissioning, and therefore contributes to alleged climate change. Next question: what will happen in the future? The UK government is planning to build 100 new data centres over the next 6 years, placing even further strain onto our electricity and water supplies. We need to come together, call it out and bring a concerted challenge. Let's join our local residents' associations, tell the truth, expose complicit local councillors and senior officers, and take the fight straight back to the data centre companies. And just to summarise, the big issue here is that the UK government's plans to build 100 new data centres will include many hyperscale ones. As I say, these are massive. There's one that's just been approved in Northumberland that's going to cost us £10 billion, and there's another one in Somerset. All data centres will be linked together via 5G and 6G masts. The all-seeing eye connected to this is going to look deep into our lives, and one day we'll be in position to influence and control all of our movements and actions automatically. Remote kill switches are going to be installed in our smart meters, our cars, our bank accounts, maybe even our laptops and mobile phones. This will be an unwanted, unnatural intrusion, and a virtual prison is the end game here. This needs to be curtailed right now. I don't want to be too negative about this, but we need to get active and to stop it now, or these central government puppets will have us exactly where they want us, totally dependent on them and living in fear. We're on the precipice of a digital control matrix which could very quickly enslave us, and then our children and grandchildren and the future of mankind forever. Let's share the knowledge, stand up for our health, stand up for our freedom, and stand up for our children. Educate other people and fight back.